Hasbro. They are a company that gave me a whole lot of childhood entertainment. They are the board game company. They are the Let It Rip company. They have Magic the Gathering for my fellow nerds and the OG Monopoly. Arguably, the best game to play while you're either stone cold sober or wasted out of your mind. They divide themselves into four main segments. First is consumer products. They have Nerf. By the way, quick tangent, who else wanted to have a massive Nerf tournament when they were kids? They also own Play-Doh and all these things here. Beyblades? Does Hasbro own Beyblades?
No, they just license the IP and make toys for it.
Ah, okay. The next segment is Wizards of the Coast and digital gaming. All my people who play Magic the Gathering, speak up. And no, this is not an ad. They also own Dungeons and Dragons. Also, they license out their IP to make some video games with other studios. For example, Baldur's Gate 3. Next up, entertainment. This includes subscription revenue and also movies. By the way, as a fan, I have seen enough Transformer movies. I don't want any more. I don't need another sequel where I see some talking metal transform into a car and just vroom, just drive off. Like, I'm done. I'm sick of that shit. Now that I've gotten that off my chest, they also produce Peppa Pig. What? Either way, they make a lot of different content for a lot of different platforms and age ranges. The last segment is corporate and other. Forget about it. It's so small compared to the others, it's negligible. Alright guys, I'd just like to take this moment to have a moment of silence and thank Hasbro for all the entertainment they gave us as kids. Alright, now we're done. Now we're gonna look at Hasbro with some analytical glasses. No more sympathy. No more sympathy, no more nostalgia, nothing. By the way, these are absolutely fake. They're just some blue light glasses, but you know, it makes me look smarter. The past few years are not good for them. Net income is bad, like really bad. But in accounting, just because net income is down does not mean it's all bad. It does not mean it's good, but it's not all bad. In the most recent year, they had revenues of $5 billion and a net loss of $1.5 billion. Not ideal. But there is more to that story, and we are going to take a closer look pretty soon. Revenue over the past 8 years, they've been pretty steady, and apart from this year, so have net earnings. To understand the $1.5 billion loss, you have to look at the cash flow statement. That shows the actual dollars in the business. While the income statement shows expenses in relation to the money made, the revenue, the cash flow statement shows the money in the business at the time. For example, in an income statement, you also have depreciation. Cash doesn't actually leave the business, but you have to write that down as an expense on the income statement, which lowers your net earnings. Am I making any sense? If not, just do a couple Googles and you'll probably be able to get the gist of it. Anyway, now that we're looking at it, allow me to draw your attention to the loss on disposal of business and impairment of goodwill. First loss on disposal was in relation to Hasbro selling E1, a Toronto-based entertainment firm that makes movies and shows. They bought it for $4 million, they sold all the music parts, and then after they kept Peppa Pig and some other family brands, and then sold the rest of that to Lionsgate for $500 million. The $539 million was not the cash actually leaving the business, but it was rather the change in value between what they paid for it and whatever parts they sold, and how much money they got for it. Hasbro assessed the fair value of their assets, and they marked down the family brands by $960 million. They didn't actually lose that cash, but the value was just marked down because it's just not worth that. That was not an operating expense, nor was the $1.2 billion in the impairment of goodwill. That's deep enough. But looking at their free cash flow, which is the money left over after paying all their expenses, it is $516 million in the positive. Stock-wise, it's not looking great. They're well below Disney, another entertainment company, and also the S&P 500. But do note that Hasbro is a dividend-paying stock. They're currently paying a yearly dividend of $2.80. Let's say the stock price is around $60. That's a little under 5% every single year. That's not bad by any means. So make sure you take that into account whenever you decide whether or not you want to purchase Hasbro or not. Okay, goodbye numbers. Let's take out some more macro stuff. They have very strong brands and lots of content. For example, Magic the Gathering. They pump out multiple different stories, sets, and cards every single year. So they have a lot of IP they can go off of if they want to make a show or something else later on. They also have Dungeons and Dragons, Beyblades, and whatever else they decide to make. They can continue to make money off the content that's coming out all the time. And I don't really see any reason why this will stop. They also have kids content like Peppa Pig and other things like it. And that is going to set them up for the future. But I'm not sure exactly how popular Peppa Pig is. I'm not 4 years old. There's probably going to be a Monopoly movie that's going to come out with Lionsgate, which was part of the deal when they sold E1. They could also lean into the nostalgia aspect for adults, which is honestly just my personal idea, but that could work. They could remake some metal Beyblades again. I don't know about the plastic ones. I haven't really tried them out. They could be just as good or even better, but I'm just not going to be the one to pay for them. All I'm looking for is a nostalgia aspect, so if it's metal, good chance I'm going to buy it. At least one. They launched Monopoly Go, and let me make sure I get this right. It is the #1 mobile game launch in the US and the fastest title in the US to reach $1 billion. They also have a strong Magic the Gathering community. Time for the negatives. The older brands are getting kind of stale. I am just so done with Transformers. I don't need to see anything from them again. Beyblades, I feel like their popularity was like 15 years ago. And as for Peppa Pig, I'm not exactly sure how popular that is. They're pretty like physical stuff, like physical board games and physical toys heavy. And I don't know how popular they're going to be because a lot of stuff is online. And it's cheaper, it's easier, it's honestly really good. And one more thing, no more Transformers movies. Please. We've had enough. So, after all of that and looking into the $1.5 billion loss, what do you think of Hasbro? Are you still interested in buying some old toys? Anyway, let me know down below in the comments. Like, sub, peace people.